Hello folks, and welcome to the journey. I was invited to go see Daniel in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and I accepted. So we started our trip at about 5 a.m. in the morning, and it took about maybe an hour and a half to pick everybody up. We made our ways from the upper parts of Jersey all the way over in Philadelphia, all the way through Philadelphia into Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We started out our trip with about a 2-hour bus ride. And the 2-hour bus ride was pretty awesome. I never really get a chance of scenery, so this was actually awesome to experience. I got to look around at all the beautiful things and all the people on the bus. I had great conversation, but I am a person of scenery. At first, I got to go through the city parts, which I really loved. I used to live around here when I was younger, and it made for a wonderful experience. It was like all this nostalgia came back. The streets I went by, the streets I used to walk around, the friends, the places, everybody who I used to know. It was just an awesome experience. These places that I used to just walk through and have fun. I used to go to the parks, and it just brought back a whole host of familiar experiences that I didn't even know were still there. Everything had changed so much, but then at the same time, none of it had changed. I mean, little bits and pieces, and some buildings weren't there anymore, but for the main part, it was almost exactly the way I remember it. You're talking about 20 years, over 2 decades. 2 decades, and a place that I expected to be completely unfamiliar to me. It was like a GPS turned on inside me. And as we crossed the Philadelphia Bridge and started leaving Jersey behind, that's when the excitement started, because it's been a while. I don't often get a chance to run across the pond into Philly. So I was like, yeah, this is going to be an awesome experience. Running across the bridge, I noticed that the clouds were coming in, and figured like it was going to be an overcast day, but it ended up being a rainy day. But it wasn't going to let that steal my thunder. No, not today. So there was so much to see, and like I said, I'm a big old guy when it comes to scenery change. So I enjoyed the bridge probably better than most people, since they see it all the time. And you know, just the structure, the way things were, just the experience of it, looking across the Delaware River and just seeing things here, there, and yonder. Like, to me, this was an ultimate experience. I had my road dog Lauren and my road dog Miguel along for the ride. They were both coming with me to see Daniel. The tickets had transferred to them. 2 people had not come, so they ended up coming with me. So this was actually a great experience. Nobody really knew what we were in for. We knew it was a play at one of the biggest theaters in the United States, one of the biggest Christian theaters in the United States, and it's something we were excited to go and see. I mean, we're all going to experience something. So as we crossed the bridge into Philadelphia, I hadn't been in Philly in over a decade, so I was kind of interested in seeing, you know, how everything changed and everything and what it looked like. And predominantly, it was the same for me. It was the same experience I had over a decade ago. Now, that was a little bit weird, because I was expecting to see so much. Now, what did change is the way the roads were put together. The roadways seemed like they were more complex than I remember. For every road that goes forward, there's 2 that goes backwards and another 2 that runs parallel on each side of each other. Just absolutely insanity. Like, if I was driving over here, it would probably take me a few weeks just to get this stuff down. Like, it's just complete insanity on how you're going down, and then there's another road coming up, and then 2 more on the left of you are going the opposite direction, while 2 more is going over. As we crossed the skyline, I took it some of the huge buildings. I was on the left side of the bus, so there were some things I couldn't see on the right side, but I figured on the way home I'd be able to get those. So on the left side, I just figured I'd take hold of some of the city skylines and some of just the architecture of the bridges. Like, a lot of people don't pay attention to the bridges and the sceneries and the road work and the hand-painted artwork that's been spray painted along things. But like I said, I am a scenery guy, and I wanted to enjoy it all. And I noticed the little high buildings and the high archways and the bridge and underpasses. To me, it was just all a unique experience, and I thought it was absolutely awesome. So I was just enjoying everything, the scenery. They were looking at me like I had never been out and never been anywhere in forever. But it's not so true. I'm just a very scenery driven person, and sometimes being used to a certain area, this to me was just an assault on my experiences and all my senses, and I loved it. So as we went from the bridge underpasses out into the deeper parts of Philadelphia, you start getting more forest areas, less buildings, you start getting more trees and mountains and rock and inclines, and that's where everything just completely takes off. Even just the buildings, the shape of buildings, like in Philadelphia, like I know people work in them all the time and they don't really pay attention because you're used to them, but when you're not around them all the time, it's actually a marvel to just look upon these things. There's more of that beautiful artwork I was talking about. The trains, like all these things just like bring back experience and this nostalgia to me. I remember back in the day when people used to spray paint trains and tag up trains and used to go over some of these overpasses and wait and see just what the trains look like and the artwork on the trains when the trains ride by. Just little things that you wouldn't think that people nowadays would even understand or begin to understand of what is awesomeness. Even the bridges, the underpasses, and the signs and the messages, like all these things right here, there's a gritty grit and a feel to it. Even the old archways of that old, see that old bridge in the background? As the train, I believe, and look at the archways, look at the spray paint, look at just the age and the rust. Like, see what I'm saying with all the monuments and things built on it and the spray paint? Like, this is like artwork. And then on the other side, you have Boathouse Row. Literally, on the right side, you have Boathouse Row, this amazing thing that's always lit up for the holidays, and it's like a spectacle. And then on the left side, you have this gigantic tunnel system with these trains with old spray paint and aged artwork from decades and decades ago. It's like, it's awesome, but I don't really think people like understand the awesomeness of these things. I do. Like, just looking at the trees. Now, these trees, funny for me, because I'm talking about trees, a lot of people don't understand. We got trees in Jersey. I see trees all the time. Most of our trees are maybe 10, maybe 20 feet tall, 25 at the highest, and that's all we really see. But in a few minutes, when we go by, when it goes into the mountainous areas and things are higher, you're going to see, look at that bridge. Oh my God. You see what I'm saying? There's like Gothic tunnels and bridges. Like, it feels like another world. But like I was saying, when you come across some of these bridges, up, that's my water. Yeah. And like I said, we were on the bus and we were looking at everything. There's just too much to see at one time. And these are the trees that I was talking about in the embankments. Like, sorry, I'm kind of going back and forth, but it was pretty cool. It was too much to see. So I figured at a certain time, I should just, you know, see the stuff on the other side when I come home. But yeah, some of the trees and some of these houses are up on gigantic mountain areas. You can see like the actual stone and rock lifted off the ground. And then some of these trees end up being 100, 200 feet tall almost. Like, some of these trees are just gargantuan. And look at this actual mountain and rock like right there next to it. Like, it's just weird. I'm not so used to seeing like mountains so close and then nestled right next to houses and places and things. Like, to me, this is awesome. Like, to me, I love this. Like, the aesthetics of it is absolutely amazing. I don't think the people who live around these areas are even close to in awe as I am. I mean, look at how tall the trees are. These are skyscraping trees. Some of these trees are taller than buildings. I mean, the rock formations, the hanging vines. I mean, look at that. Look at the rock. Look at the rock basin. Like, it's a real mountain. Like, that's insane. It's like real mountain basin. Like, I don't know how you could ever get used to that, but I do know people did. When I was out in Vegas, I got used to the spectacle of Vegas after a few weeks, but I get it. But to me, this is like natural and nature, and I'm still in awe seeing these things that I don't normally see all day long. And some of these trees and the greenery is just absolutely beautiful. It's like walking around through a Lord of the Rings book or someplace far off in Norway or something. Like, it's awesome. And in the midst of these trees, you'll find a house, you'll find a highway, you'll find like embankments with buildings. Like, it's insane how quickly the scenery changes from mountains and trees to buildings and houses and roadways to mountains and trees and buildings. I mean, good God, look at some of these trees. They are so tall and so beautiful. Absolutely awesome. Absolutely gotta love it. And I love every single last bit of it. Like, even in the distance, as far as the eye can see, you see nothing but trees. Like, even the skyline so far back, you see trees in the horizon. Like, this is awesome. To me, this is awesome. I know a lot of people are like, I don't know. But yeah, to me, this is awesome because I don't normally get to see these things. Like, we have trees and parks and stuff like that, but some of these trees are like hundreds of years old. Some of this area is just aged earth, you know, for, you know, hundreds of years. Like, and that, to me, that's awesome. Even on this roadway that we were on, it once wasn't a roadway. This was all just mountains, and they broke through this mountain to build this roadway. I mean, look at those trees. Oh my God, look at some of the hanging shrubbery and vines on those trees. And then I figured, you know, might as well bust a couple games of kart while we on the roadway, because we was back in the city and there wasn't much to see. So I figured, you know, I brought my DS and my 3DS, and I was like, you know what, let's get in some kart, because I am a gamer at my heart. And even though we are on a pilgrimage very far away to see an awesome play, you know, you got a game when you can, where you can, how you can. So I pulled out the DS, and yes, even on a bumpy bus ride, I was able to score a couple first place victories, which felt really good. And then it was back to the beautiful fields and scenery back outside my window again, because we had now left that part of the city, and it was now back into more country, where there were country houses and cows and goats and fields of grain and wheat and corn, and you saw horses and buggies and cows and dairies. Like, everything was just uniquely beautiful, and it was just pleasing to the eyes as far as you can see, with grain silos and corn. Like I said, I'm a city dude, but I was born out in the country, and the country is just always held something for me. Even the forest, like being out there, has held way something for me. And this was the Railroad Museum. I don't know if you guys saw this before, but they have all these old unique trains, and some of the old ones, I guess, that are decommissioned, and these trains are beautiful. Like, it's awesome. Like, if I had time, I would love to just stop and go through there and look at them. You get to see some of the old trains, the old railway systems, some of the old railroads. It's just so amazing. And then you have houses that are nestled right amongst them, and you can see right behind them, there's still the train track there with trains on them. Even as far as this, like this choo-choo diner place that we're in right now, if you look in the background, you can see the old trains still on the track. Like, it's awesome. And then we finally made it. We made it to Daniel. And this place was huge. It was bigger. I can't even put into words how big this place was. And at first I was like, I don't know if they're gonna fill up this place, because I had no idea. But it was full theater experience. My boy Miguel, Lauren with us, everybody else who was on the bus. We had some pretty good seats right down front. Front row right, we actually had seats. And some of these, it's just mammoth. Some of these set pieces, like, were just 50 feet, 60 feet tall. Just the size and scope of this building was just amazing. And I was like, I can't believe it. Even though it's a copyrighted show, they would not let us, you know, film or do anything like that. But we were allowed to film during intermissions and look around and see things. And look at how high the city is. I mean, the ceiling is. And it's got stars and lights like the stars. Like, there's everybody else checking out their brochures and on the phones, and I'm the one that's just looking around at everything. Me and Lauren was probably the most checking out everything. And then as it started filling up, I was like, wow, there is so many people. Look behind me. There were like, this thing seats 2,000 people, and there were 2,000 people here, probably way more than that. Like, I could not believe how many people was here. This is awesome. This was completely awesome. Like, it's been so long since I've had a theater experience, and this is a full-on theater production experience, and it was absolutely amazing. I can't even put into words how amazing the experience was. Like, even if I tried to describe it, I really couldn't. And then we were back on a bus just as quickly as it began. We were back on a bus, and yes, I needed to bust some more Mario Kart, because while we were waiting for the bus to load, I needed something to do. So instead of my DS, I pulled out my 3DS, and I was like, you know what, let's get some kart in again. So let's do some Mario Kart 7. We did Mario Kart DS, now let's do some Mario Kart 7. So while I was waiting for people to get back on the bus, I was busting Mario Kart in the back of the bus, because that's how I do. You know how it is, you know how I do. And then just as quickly as we were there, we were back on the bus and ready to go again. Now, the play itself was like almost 4 hours with an intermission, so it was amazing. But what did I think of it? absolutely 100% awesome. Loved it. Every single last second of it, and I was here. The Game Ninja was here, baby. And as we started driving away, we had a chance to go to a buffet before we left Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and it was awesome. But as we were coming home, I got to see a rainbow across the sky over in Jersey. Even as far away from Jersey as we was, it was a magnificent rainbow. And it had rained all day long, and the sun was just peeking out a little bit before it was going down. This was about maybe 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening, and it was just beautiful. I tried to catch as much as I could of this magnificent rainbow. It had just been a whole blessed environment. Like, we got to see an amazing experience, a once-in-a-lifetime experience. We got to enjoy it with people, and amazing people. It was just a host of an assault on all the senses that were just absolutely amazing. And we were treated to the signature, being this gigantic, magnificent rainbow as we were coming home. And I just couldn't believe how blessed I was to be invited and partake in such a beautiful day. Definitely don't get too many of these wonderful experiences, so you got to jump on them and grab a hold of them with both hands and both feet when they come along. And I'm glad that I did. This was an awesome day. No matter how tired I am, it's an awesome day. I got it all in there. And as we come across, we started entering the Philly area, West Philadelphia, born and raised. That's right. We was out near Fairmount Park, not too far from the Plateau, which in summertime is what he was talking about. I had to sing some West Philadelphia. We was looking at the just the cityscapes, and they got the Rocky Run coming up in November, so I had to check out some of the Rocky posters that they had for the Rocky Run coming up in November in Philadelphia. Traffic was horrendous. We got the Jefferson's buildings, I called them, moving on up. I even had to sing a song. We were moving on up. It was pretty funny. It was awesome. We just had an awesome time. Like, even as tired as it was, and it was a full day experience, like, I still had joy all over towards the end of the day. And as we came back across the bridge, yes, we were hit with tons of traffic, but it was an awesome experience nonetheless. You can see some of it over there. Like, it was backed up for miles. It was insane. So we got off early so that we could, you know, cut some of that and just look at some of the cityscapes in Philadelphia going across before you get to the Ben Franklin Bridge. Like, I don't think people realize sometimes and take hold at how beautiful and monumental some of these things are. Like, they're just absolutely amazing. The city structures, the scope, and my Samsung, that's right, the S23 Ultra was out here killing it all day long. The videos and points and focus and colors and filters was just amazing. I love this phone, absolutely. I even like the little like garden stuff on top of the bridge as you go by. And I was just looking at like the buildings. Like, these may be like some of the most regular random buildings, like it may be like office work or factories or something, but from the roadway as you drive by, it just looks magnificent. Like, look at this beautiful mural coming up, painted on this building. Like, how did somebody achieve that? It must have taken, I don't know, months of work, and you had to hang off the side. Just absolutely amazing. And as we entered across the Philadelphia Bridge, coming back to New Jersey, I just had a chance to reminisce at what an awesome day it was. Friends, family, relatives, the people on the bus, all the churches that was there, all the 2,000 people and children, the food from the buffet, which was absolutely overcrowded with busloads and busloads of people. It was one of the biggest buffets in the United States, and we went to one of the biggest theater companies in the United States. Like, so we were just like, we just had a whole day. And then just as we're treated to the river and the cityscape as the sun is going down with the rainbows, it was just an awesome experience, and I was glad to be a part of it. And I thank you guys for just enjoying time and experience with me, and just a day that will never happen again. And I was there to enjoy it and see it and feel it. And these experiences, you gotta just take hold and grab them with your hands because tomorrow is not promised to nobody. So you got to enjoy it when it comes. And I know a lot of people don't understand that, but you got to feel it. You got to find it in life and enjoy it. And I thank you guys for joining me. This was a wonderful, amazing experience.